Alright, camera set, decently in focus. Get hyped for this video. Come on, baby. Energy, shake it out. Here we go. We got this.
No. You don't.
Come on. You're doing this because you love it. Building skills, exploring a passion.
What the point? Nobody's even watching you.
Hello? You're just tired. You're hearing voices. You're exhausted from work. You can nap after this recording. Everything's gonna be fine. Nap later.
Oh, she's probably gonna take a nap right now. That's what she does to avoid her problems.
Yeah, she ain't nothing. She can't even give us decent inner monologues.
Oh, I think I have a very
I
good
do not
inner
have
monologue.
time
I have
for
a
this.
lot to
I'm the
say.
human.
Actually,
I'll get
I
you to
think
shut
I
up.
should talk
No
about
inanimate
it.
object is going to get in
Flashies.
my head without permission. You can
Wait, what
go
are you
in the
doing?
closet
Don't
and
do
stay
that.
there, and I will
Feel
deal
great
with my
about throwing this in the
problems
closet,
on my
you big
own
bully.
time. I'm the human. I got this.
Hi, I'm Emma. Now, Toy Story 4 came out this weekend, and when my friend invited me to a premiere, I absolutely had to say yes. I'm a huge Disney Pixar fan. In fact, I want to work for the company one day. Now, remember when Toy Story 4 was announced and people were super skeptical? I saw the movie, and I'm trying to figure out if those skepticisms are still justified. Let's talk about it. And in case you're worried, because this film did just come out, I'm not going to talk about any spoilers. Some of my other reviews have a couple of spoilers in them, but this one I've done my best to avoid any possible spoilers. Now, this film was directed by Josh Cooley, who worked on Up and Inside Out, so it's not his first experience with Pixar, but it is his directorial debut. And it's too difficult to name all the stellar voices in this cast. It's huge. I'm going to put a picture up and kind of like pinpoint everyone who's in it, because Toy Story, as always, has this all-star cast. So the plot of the film is fairly simple. It starts with a flashback where we learn what happened to Bo Peep and why she wasn't in Toy Story 3, and then we return to where Toy Story 3 ended. So Bonnie, the little girl from the end of Toy Story 3, is about to start kindergarten, and we kind of start on her first day. It's like an orientation day. And there she goes to school, and she makes a friend that's like a big joke in the movie, called Forky, who is voiced by Tony Hale. And essentially, Forky goes through a similar thing to Toy Story 1 with Buzz, where he doesn't realize that he's a toy. He thinks he's trash. And so the duration of the movie, at its bare bones, is Woody trying to keep Forky from throwing himself away and convincing Forky that he has a greater purpose now that Bonnie has found happiness and love with him. So I gotta say, this was a good movie. It hits all the points that you want a good Pixar film to hit. You've got your emotional stuff, plot lines that are way more for adults than kids, and jokes that are for more adults than kids. You've got the sympathetic villain character, like quote-unquote villain, and then the visuals are just as breathtaking as any recent Pixar movie, possibly more so. I got lost watching this film sometimes. I want to go see it again just so I can really appreciate that. And then the big thing for adults this time is accepting that who you were is not who you are now, and learning to adjust to who you've become, which I found really pinpoint on the nose applicable to my life. As always, Pixar manages to find a way to just like dig into my emotional fragility and just destroy it in a gross, disgusting, weepy mess in a room full of strangers. What was impressive about this movie to me is that the plot furthered the story. When Toy Story 3 ended, I really thought that was the end of Toy Story. I couldn't think of how they would further develop it, but like always, Pixar has a trick up their sleeve, and what was most surprising is that it made sense. It didn't feel like they were forcing like a new plot line out of a popular franchise. I actually preferred the ending of this movie to the end of Toy Story 3. I thought that movie wrapped up the franchise, but this one really like seals it in a nice, neat bow, and that's funny. And I can't figure out why they would do more. They might. I hope they don't. But compared to Toy Story 3, like, I'll allow it. I'll allow this addition. And to further elaborate what that expanded universe is, it's essentially what happens after a toy is thrown out. Is there life afterwards? Like, what do toys want? What do they desire when it doesn't revolve around a child? Now, I'm being generous with that plotline because most of the film was reminiscent, like I said, to the first Toy Story. I think Pixar has this issue when it makes too many sequels, it just kind of like wraps back around. That's what happened with the Cars franchise, with Cars 3 being incredibly similar to Cars 1, with Cruz and Lightning, where Lightning is teaching Cruz how to drive in the way that Doc Hudson taught Lightning how to drive. Very similar. This movie, though, is with Buzz from the first Toy Story, where he's like, I'm not a toy. And then he is a toy. And that's how this is with Forky, and Forky realizing he can be multiple things. He can be trash and he can be a toy. But the familiarity is too much to ignore. It doesn't make the film bad, but it does lose that like uniqueness that people really treasure in Pixar and that I really treasure in Pixar. And I'm not entirely sure how kids will receive this film. The plot, like I said earlier, is very, very adult focused as opposed to other Pixar movies. I don't know how much kids will relate. Also, there's a lot of jump scares that got me, which I don't appreciate. And I don't know how a kid will react to them. The kids in my theater were a little bit older, but for a younger kid, I can imagine them being really scared at some of these parts. And then a big personal issue that I had is that Jessie is my favorite character in the Toy Story universe. She was like one of my first female role models, and she's really not in this film. That's the issue of this franchise now, is they've established too many characters over now 4 movies. Your favorites aren't going to get as much screen time as you'd want them to, which is a bummer, because Jessie is the best character in Toy Story, and I'm just going to say that. But then ultimately, the big question of is this film good or not is the necessity of this film. Like I said earlier, when we were learning about this film and we were going to learn what happened to Bo Peep, a lot of us asked why. Like, who cares? I wasn't thinking about Bo Peep. Does this film really need to exist? I don't know. It's good, and I liked it a lot, but this kind of brings into question the authenticity of what we can believe from Pixar now. Because we thought it was done at a trilogy, and now they've got this 4th movie. What is to stop them from continually just burning this franchise out? But ultimately, this film is a lot better than I anticipated. I am kind of hit or miss with Pixar nowadays. Like, I loved Coco, but then I have to remember films like Brave and The Good Dinosaur, which were not that great. And do we even need to talk about Cars 2? I don't think so. But the film is good. That's a summary. It's really good, and I can't wait to see it again. I'm probably going to see it maybe even tomorrow. But I highly recommend you go see this film because I'm coming at it from a really jaded perspective. Like I said, I love Pixar and I love Toy Story, and part of me really wanted this film to be good. And I think it was, but I'll have to check in a second viewing. And thank you again to my friend Mallory, who actually works for Disney, for bringing me to this screening. I really, really appreciate it. If I ever show you any of these videos, I hope you see this, because it was great to see you and great to catch up. And please bring me to all your free movie premieres, because I don't have any money and I like movies, so thank you for taking that into account. But that's it from me today, guys. Did you see Toy Story 4 yet? Are you the kind of person who will see the movie opening weekend or wait for reviews to come in? I prefer to see it as soon as possible so I can get a review out, but recently times are tough. And if you haven't seen Toy Story 4, what's your favorite Pixar movie? Mine is still probably Coco. That film really blew me out of the water, and I wept uncontrollably, and it's so beautiful, and I could talk about Coco for days, honestly. But anyways, I hope you'll see me next time.